Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be talking about the Etude House Double Lasting Serum Foundation in the shade Y03 Ivory. I picked this up because it was requested from some of my followers. I can't remember who it was, but if I can find their name then I will of course put it down below. And I have tried the Double Lasting Foundation previously and I really did like it, but the shade range was really bad, so I couldn't find something that was light enough and still yellow. Everything that was super light was really pink, and then everything that was yellow toned was really dark. So I was unable to find a good shade match. However, they had more shades in the Serum foundation. I think they have 12 shades in total. There's a good amount of really pale shades, but there are very little deeper shades. So Amber is the darkest that they go, and that's like a mid-deep shade. It's pretty disappointing. But if you are on the paler end of the spectrum, then there's a lot of choice for you because there are a fair amount of shades. They have separated them out into P, N and yellow shades. So if you are pink or cool toned, then you will want something that starts with a P. If you have neutral undertones, which is pink and yellow, you want something that starts with an N. And if you are warm toned like me, you want something that starts with a yellow. You want something that starts with a Y, not a yellow. They also have shade numbers, so the smaller the number, the lighter the shade is. So if you're like me and you are very pale and warm toned, you want the Y letter and the smallest number. Unfortunately, there is no Y2 or Y1, so we have the lighter shade here, which is Y03. I had initially purchased the Innisfree My Drop Blending Tone Up foundation whitener in the same sort of time frame because I was thinking that if this wasn't light enough I could use that to lighten it, but I actually think it's a really good match, so I'm wearing it at the moment. It is slightly peachy in tone, and if I lose any more of my tan it is going to be a little bit too dark, but I mean, like, I think it's probably the best foundation match I've had all year, so I'm pretty happy with that. So I couldn't find a very good product description, so the one I've got here is from YesStyle. So this one says, with double glow technology TM for 24 hours long lasting glowing effect. It contains 61% of moisture serum complex consisting of ceramide, hyaluronic acid and panthenol for skin moisturizing. It's airy moisture fit. Fine powder factors provide powerful adherence to face with one touch to give flawless finish. The packaging of this product is very pretty and very functional. I really like the rose gold top and I especially love the pump. I hate not having a pump, especially because this has a very thin liquidy texture, which means that if I was going to be tipping it out onto my hand, I would be tipping out way too much. Like I said, I have the shade Y03, which is a warm toned shade and it is the lightest of the warm tone range. Despite being called a Y color, I find this one to be slightly peachy in comparison to my perfect shade, which is NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia. However, I find that it is still a pretty good shade for me. So I'm just going to pump a bit of the foundation onto the back of my hand, and I just need like slightly more than one pump, and I'm going to be using a cushion puff to apply this. I find that this is the best way to apply it because the texture is so liquidy, so you can see it just traveling down my hand right now as well, which is frustrating, that if I use a damp sponge it kind of just absorbs a lot of the product, and if I use a brush it kind of just spreads it around too much and it ends up looking extremely streaky. But the texture is so thin and liquidy, it's so easy to spread out on the skin and it looks pretty flattering on most areas. So that is one half of my face all done. So that is one side with the foundation and one side without. So I'm going to do the rest of my face before this runs all the way off my hand and zoom you guys in afterwards. Okay, so this is what a full face of the Etude House Double Lasting Serum Foundation looks like. I keep forgetting the name of this one. It is really dewy, so it does make my pores look a little bit more apparent than I would like, but I can fix that by using a setting powder and it is diminished a little bit. So this is what my skin looks like up close. So you can see quite a lot of the pores because of that shiny dewy texture. It doesn't have the best coverage, so you can see quite a lot of the scarring, and it is a little bit hard to build it up, so I pretty much just don't try. And again, because of the dewiness, you can see a fair amount of the texture on my forehead, but it's not super bad. It's not the worst product that I've used for that. So this foundation does have a very sticky, dewy finish, so when I touch my skin, if I don't set it with a powder, it does come off onto my fingers, and my hair loves to stick to this one, so I am definitely going to have to set this one with a powder foundation, and I will check in with you guys throughout the day. Today is Tuesday, so it is my very long day. So this foundation has been on for 9.25 hours so far. For that length of time, I'm not too displeased with the amount of shine It is a little shiny in the T-zone, but it's kind of quite similar to how it started off as anyway. So my forehead's a little bit shiny, but not bad. I'm pretty happy with the forehead. The nose, especially the nose tip, is where I see the most shine, so it definitely does look oily. And then my chin looks pretty good as well. There is a little bit of a bald spot here too because I've been leaning on my chin today. But since this transfers so easily anyway, like if I don't set it with a powder, it comes off onto my fingertips. I'm not surprised that it has rubbed off on here today. I haven't had this issue before, so I think it's because one of my students was crying. So I was leaning forward and resting my hands like this. So I will check back in with you guys after dancing tonight. So this foundation has been on for over 12 hours now. It looks fairly similar to when I put it on. There is quite a lot of shine through my T-zone and especially on my nose tip. But it's not so bad. I'm gonna leave you in there. What are you doing? Nasty.
Don't leave me in.
I'm gonna leave you in there.
Cut me out.
No. So overall I'm happy for over 12 hours wear. It doesn't look completely matte, but it is a glowy face and it hasn't really disappeared apart from the section on my chin where I've been rubbing it off myself. So yeah. So overall, I really do enjoy using this foundation. There are some limitations, but to me, I don't find them to be that problematic. So the limitations that I'm thinking of is that you pretty much cannot wear this foundation without setting it with a powder, because as soon as you touch your hand to your face, it comes off onto your fingers and it leaves like fingerprints on my face, which is not cute. Also, if you have long hair or if you have lots of baby hair around the sides of your face, they will stick to the foundation and it's quite hard to get them off because it is such a sticky texture. Now, I don't find that problematic because I pretty much always set my foundation with a powder unless it is a very matte and already setting foundation, which I don't have very many of. So for me, this is nothing different to my usual routine where I would put a foundation on and then set it with a powder anyway. It also has light to medium coverage, and again, I don't find that to be super problematic. I don't have too much to cover at the moment. I've got a couple of scars here, 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 just like normal for me basically. And it does a good enough job for an everyday wear foundation. If I wanted more coverage, I can use a concealer and it wouldn't be too problematic because the rest of it does have a fair amount of coverage for the rest of my skin, so you can't really see that many of my freckles shining through. But it doesn't look fake, which I quite like for every day. It's not as light coverage as the Bobbi Brown foundation that I talked about last week, so that one would be difficult to use with a concealer because the rest of it is so light coverage. You would be able to see the parts where I had concealed, whereas with this one I would be able to conceal nicely and easily without being like patchy, for lack of a better word. I'm a little bit confused about its 24-hour claim because on some of it says that it lasts for 24 hours and then some of the product descriptions say that it has a 24-hour long-lasting glowing effect, which are two completely different things for me. I would say that it does look glowy on my skin for 12 hours, which is what I'm going to be wearing it for today. I can't obviously speak on what it looks like at the end of the day today because I haven't gotten to the end of the day today, but I have had this foundation for over a month and I have been wearing it pretty much all the time because I really do enjoy how it looks on my skin and I have no problems with the longevity. Sometimes I feel like my T-zone does get a little bit glowy. It kind of depends on my skin on the day, but it's not so glowy that I feel the need to blot my skin or that I feel like I look oily and I want to take the makeup off. You know, it's not that bad. But if you have very oily skin, it's probably not a foundation I would recommend because I feel like it probably would get too oily for you. Being that it is a moisture serum foundation, if you have oily skin, it's probably something that you would want to stay away from just based on the name alone. However, for the aspects that I really like about it, it makes my skin look super glowy without being oily. The colour is really, really beautiful and it settles really nicely on my skin as well. Looking at my skin today, I really like the way that it looks. But in general, it's kind of like a foundation that I can really rely on and it's really great for swatches. So if I'm doing cheek swatches, I'm definitely gravitating towards this foundation because when I do a cheek swatch for products, if I've got 5 blush shades, like the Face Shop ones, I need to apply it onto my face, take the video footage, and then take it off with a makeup wipe and then reapply the foundation. And this is really, really easy to reapply over the top of itself because, I don't know why, it's really moisturizing, it's really nice, it's really thin, so it lends itself really well to that aspect of my life, which is really great. And I understand that a lot of people are not going through and doing 5 different shades of blush on their face in one sitting, so that's not really applicable. But it is really good in that aspect. So overall, I would highly recommend this foundation to any princesses who are a peachy or yellow shade and are very light. If you are, I would say, lighter than MAC NC or N5, which I picked up today as well. I didn't know they made an N5. If you're lighter than that, then it's going to be too dark for you. You probably could add some whitening drops, of which someone recommended the LA Pro Girl Whitening White Foundation. Apparently that's really good. I haven't got it yet because in New Zealand it's really hard to find LA Girl products. But overall, I think that the formula of this is absolutely beautiful. It's my favourite Etude House foundation in quite some time. I haven't really liked most of their recent things that they came out with. The one that I loved previous to this was like one of their first cushions, the Etude House Any cushion. Oh my gosh, that was like the last foundation I loved from Etude House. It's been a couple of years. So yeah, my love for this is still going strong and I would consider it one of my Holy Grail foundations. Yes. So thank you guys so much for watching this review and I will see you next time. Bye!